Algebra 2, worksheet 27.2, number 4. We're taking this equation and we're trying to write it in graphing form. The directions tell us right off the bat we know it's a hyperbola. So we know eventually we're going to have the hyperbola when we graph it. We have to write in graphing form and get the graph on there in the center and the asymptotes and the vertices and all that craziness. Now, one thing they're trying to trick us with. A lot of people probably got thrown off by this because we're not used to seeing the negative in front, which is fine. It's not going to change anything. All we're going to do, we're going to start like the other ones. We're going to put the x's and y's together, but we want to start with the positive one first. So since that x is negative because of the negative 9, we're going to wait and look at the y's first. So we're going to put those y's in the beginning. 16y squared plus 64y. Now we're going to go with the x's. Minus 9x squared plus 54x. We're going to take that minus 161, move it over to the other side, adding it to both sides becomes positive 161. Now the craziness starts. We're going to have those y's, we're going to factor out the 16. This becomes y squared plus 4y plus blank, because I'm going to complete the square. 16 into 64 is 4. Minus 9, I'll be really careful with your signs. Remember, since we're taking a negative out, that's going to switch this to negative. 9 into 54 goes 6 times, plus blank, equals 161. Now because of these, 16 and negative 9, now on this side with the 161, I'm going to have to add 16 times something, but I'm going to have to subtract 9 times something. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And remember, completing the square, half of that squared is 4. 4 divided by 4, or 2 is 2. Squared is 4. Complete the square with the negative 6 gives me positive 9. So now with the 16, remember those are matching, that's a 4. And then the minus 9s are matching, there's a 9. 16, y plus 2 squared when we factor, the square root of 4 is 2. The first sign goes there. Minus 9x minus 3 squared equals, now when I work all this out, 16 times 4 is 64. Negative 9 times 9 is negative 81. When I combine all these, I get 144. Now hopefully, if I've done this right, remember that the hyperbola equation, when we write it in graphing form, should be equal to 1. So I'm going to divide everything by 144. And if I've done this right, then what should happen is that the 16 and the 9 both should divide into 144 evenly. And woohoo, they do. 16 into 144 goes 9 times. So when I write my equation, this is going to cancel and leave me with a 9. So in the equation, it's going to have y plus 2 squared over 9 minus x minus 3 squared. And then on this side, 9 into 44 goes 16 times. So this is now over 16. Now I've got it in graphing form, which is excellent. That's exactly what I want. Now I'm ready to get the center and graph it and get all the important information. So my center is the opposite of these two, and be careful here because a lot of people will just want to put this first and this last. Whatever's with the x goes first. Minus 3 becomes positive 3. Positive 2 becomes negative 2. So my center is at 3 and negative 2. This 16, when I take the square root, is 4. Which tells me to go left and right 4 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, right and left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then square root of 9 is 3. That tells me, since it's with the y, to go up and down 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to draw my box around those 4 points that I just drew. And remember that whatever's first, whatever variables comes first, that's where your vertices are going to be. So since with the y distance, I went up and down 3, that means this is one vertex, this is the other. So my parabola is on the hyperbola are going to go up and down. It's going to become a vertical hyperbola. I'm going to draw the asymptotes. There's one asymptote. That's my positive asymptote with a positive slope. There's my negative asymptote with a negative slope. And this is just kind of a guideline. Now I know my parabolas will go along those dotted lines and into my work down here. Sorry, 9. My vertices are now these 2 points. 1, 2, 3, and 1, both positive. 1, 2, 3, and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 and negative 5 is the other vertex. The last thing I need is the slopes of the asymptotes. And remember that slopes are rise over run. The rise was 3. The run was 4. Remember, because of that 4, I went left and right 4. One's positive, one's negative, so my slopes are plus minus 3 over 4. And I've got number 4.